Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna yomi Masechet Sheviit. We're up to Perek Chet Mishnah Tet. Today's Mishnah should be Leilu Nishmat Neria Ben Tzvilana Aranbai Menuchato Began Eden. Amen. Today's Mishnah is going to continue discussing a person who unlawfully rubs Shemitah oil on a utensil, or Shesacho B'Shemesh Shel Sheviit, leather that someone rubbed with Shemitah oil. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Yidalek. Rabbi Eliezer says it has to be burned as a penalty for misusing the oil. Now, Rabbi Eliezer holds that this penalty is only given when the Shemitah produce, in this case the oil, is used unlawfully. He agrees that when Shemitah money is used unlawfully, the purchased item doesn't have to be destroyed. Only the penalty that we said in yesterday's Mishnah, Yochal Kinegdo, has to be done, is imposed. Why? Because if a person buys an item with Shemitah money, he buys an unacceptable item with Shemitah money, the money itself does not lose its sanctity, therefore it can still be used properly. But Shemitah oil that is used unlawfully can never be used again. Therefore, he says the person deserves a more serious penalty. You have to destroy the item. Whereas the sages say, Yochal Kinegdo, the same penalty if you use money unlawfully is if you use the oil unlawfully, meaning you have to eat with Shemitah sanctity food that is of equal value to the oil that you misused. If you misused $10 worth of Shemitah oil, you have to take now $10 that doesn't have any sanctity, buy Shemitah food and treat it with Shemitah sanctity. The utensil does not have to be destroyed. Amru lifnei Rabbi Akiva, the sages said before Rabbi Akiva, Omer ya Rabbi Eliezer, or shesacho b'shemen shel Sheviit yidalek. Rabbi Eliezer used to say that leather that someone burned with Shemitah oil has to be burned. Leather that someone rubbed with Shemitah oil has to be burned. Amar lahem, Rabbi Akiva said to them, Shtoku, be quiet. Don't continue saying that in Rabbi Eliezer's name because it was not his opinion. However, I will not tell you what Rabbi Eliezer really said about the subject, and the Rav tells us why. Because Rabbi Akiva knew it was a very lenient opinion, and he didn't want to make it public. Now, the Mefarshim tell us that Rabbi Akiva, who was Rabbi Eliezer's student, heard Rabbi Eliezer say that you are allowed to rub a leather garment with Shemitah oil. Why? Since the garment is going to be worn by the person, his skin will absorb the oil, therefore using the Shemitah oil in a permitted way. Because his opinion was more lenient than the Chachamim, Rabbi Akiva didn't want to make it public, and the Mefarshim give other reasons, different reasons. Maybe because since Rabbi Eliezer once was excommunicated for not accepting the opinion of the Chachamim, Rabbi Akiva didn't want to publicize another case where Rabbi Eliezer disagreed with the sages. At any rate, the Rab tells us, Halakha Chachamim, the Halakha follows the sages, you cannot rub leather with Shemitah oil. If you did, Yochal Kinegdo, the penalty is you have to take now money corresponding to the oil you used and purchase food within, treated with Shemitah sanctity. That is in Rabotai Mishnah Tet. Mishnah Yud now, since we cited a conversation where Rabbi Akiva didn't want to reveal Rabbi Eliezer's true opinion, the Mishnah now in Mishnah Yud gives us another conversation like this. It concerns the Kutim. Now the Kutim were a pagan group who converted to Judaism but didn't observe the mitzvot properly. The Mefarshim tell us the Kutim settled in Eretz Yisrael during the Beit Rishon, the first temple era. When they were attacked by lions, they converted to Judaism in the hope of being saved. But even after their conversion, they kept some of their pagan beliefs and they didn't observe the mitzvot properly. It's brought down more in Melachim Bet, Kings 2, chapter 17, Psukim 24 to 41. Tanaim have a machloket regarding their status as Jews and their reliability regarding mitzvah observance. That's brought down in Masechet Kiddushin, page 75b. At any rate, the Mishnah says, another time the Chachamim said before Rabbi Akiva, Omer ya Rabbi Eliezer used to say, Ha'ochel pat kutim ke'ochel basar chazir. Someone who eats the bread of kutim is the same as someone who eats pork, meaning the bread of kutim is asur. And the Mefarshim explain, when the Jews returned to Eretz Yisrael at the end of Galut Bavel, the Babylonian exile, the Kutim tried to prevent them from rebuilding the Bet HaMikdash. As a result, the Chachamim of that generation, under the leadership of Ezra Sofer, excommunicated the Kutim and forbade eating from their food. Now, eating Kuti bread is not actually the same as eating pork. Why? Because pork is forbidden from the Torah, as we know, but Kuti bread is only a Sumid Rabbanan, the Rab tells us. But Rabbi Eliezer, according to the Chachamim, is comparing kuti bread to pork as a way of saying that you have to avoid it, just like pig is asur to eat, and is a especially repulsive animal, you should avoid the bread of kutim as a repulsive food and not eat it. Amar lem, Rabbi Akiva said to them, Shtoku, be quiet, do not continue saying that in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, because it was not his opinion. Lo omar lechem ma sheRabbi Eliezer omer bo, I will not tell you what Rabbi Eliezer says about this, and the Rav says why? Because Rabbi Eliezer was very lenient, and Rabbi Akiva didn't want to make it public, and because the Mefarshim explained to us, Rabbi Akiva heard from Rabbi Eliezer that you are allowed to eat the bread of the kutim. Why? Because he says that the ban against the kutim and their food was lifted when the kutim improved their behavior. But again, since, like the Mefarshim told us in previous Mishnah, there was an event when Rabbi Eliezer was excommunicated for not accepting Chachamim's opinion, Rabbi Akiva didn't want to bring another case where Rabbi Eliezer disagreed with these sages. Therefore, he didn't reveal Rabbi Eliezer's true opinion. That is in Rabotai, today's Mishna yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.